Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. In this opportunity, I would like to present in the 5th International Seminar on Linguistics held by Universitas Indonesia. The research is entitled The Representation of Joko Widodo's Leadership on Media Indonesia's Corruption News Towards the 2019 Presidential Elections. Before the presentation is started, please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Saiyidinal Firdaus. I am the linguistic student in Universitas Indonesia. So let's get started. And now we come to the first slide. Before the 2019 presidential election occurs, corruption often receives the mass media's attentions be used as a news. Sometimes the corruption news could prioritize the figure or actor reported. This fact can be seen from the Media Indonesian Corruption News on March 31, 2019. The corruption news informs a figure or actors who is president of Indonesia, namely Joko Widodo. The corruption news contains propositions that tell the Jokowi's performance in eradicating corruption during his tenure as president for 2014 until 2019. In this case, the propositions included in the Media Indonesian's corruption news reflect the use of language structures as the process of delivering messages or ideas to the public. Therefore, this study aims to describe the pattern of the language structures in Media Indonesian's corruption news text on March 31, 2019 in carrying out the discourse strategy. This study focuses on the application of funded CDA, especially in the text structures. Thus, related research that can be used as a reference is carried out by Pratiwi and Ramaldi, Sahmeni and Afifa, and Makfiro and Triyono. Overall, these three studies are still not complete enough in applying funded CDA approach, especially the application of the macro, super, and the microstructure analysis, including thematic, schematic, semantic, syntactic, stylistic, and the rhetorical structure. This study has excellent potential to fill or continue the gap of the previous study above. The study explains completely the funded CDA approach based on the elements or the components of macro, super, and the micro. This study can be an example or model for future researchers to see how the application of the text structures patterns are complete and comprehensive in a news text as a discourse strategy. This study uses a qualitative approach with the funded CDA as an analytical knife. This study is limited to the context of the 2019 presidential election. It means that this study has a limitation on the search for the Media Indonesian's corruption news that appeared ahead of the 2019 presidential election. Therefore, the study uses Media Indonesian's corruption news on March 31, 2019. This study uses library research techniques to collect data. A literature's Nazir 2009 said that a literature study is a research sourced from the articles, news, and documents containing research problems. Data analysis focuses on the funded CDA by linking language and social aspects that make up the discourse of the mass media news text. Based on the writing and the books of the fundeds 1980, 1997, 1998, and 2008, this study decides to use the funded CDA in the form of the text structure analysis. The text analysis will examine the text structure based on the macrostructure, superstructure, and the microstructures, especially in the schematic, semantic, syntactic, stylistic, and the rhetorical structure. And now we come to the finding and discussion. The first is the microstructural analysis and discussion. The macrostructural is included into the thematic structure. The finding is shared on the slide that we can see. three propositions start. Jokowi is a server and the firm leader in eradicating corruption. The three propositions above are statements directly conveyed by Jokowi during his campaign activities in Goa Regency. By applying the generalization rule in P1, P2, and P3, the macro propositions contained in the data above are obtained, namely the role and the function of Jokowi as a state leader to eradicate corruption. In this case, the theme raised in the media Indonesian corruption news on March 31, 2019 is that Jokowi is a successful leader in eradicating corruption because he is earnest and does not play around in eradicating corruption. The second one is the superstructural analysis and discussion. The superstructural contains the schematic structure. Firdaus 1998 explained that thematic structure is a part of the superstructural level. In the news text, the superstructural level consists of the headline, lead, and story. The findings of the schematic structure is shared on the slide that we can see together. The last one is the microstructural analysis and discussion. Firdaus 1980 say that microstructure is related to the local meaning of the discourse, such as semantic, syntactic, stylistic, and the rhetorical structure. The microstructure is a discourse structure that is actually and directly expressed. In addition, the microstructure is also found through words, phrases, sentences, and relationships between sentences in the discourse text. In other words, the microstructure can be an effective way to identify the strengths that discourse makers maintain, such as words, propositions, phrases, and sentences. In addition, the study intentionally uses the microstructure to pursue and influence readers to believe what they are conveying. The first structure in the microstructural analysis and discussion is semantic structure. Semantic structure consists into the something element in the study. The results is shared on the slide that we can see together. In this edition, the idea of the news focused on the Jokowi's campaign activities in Goa Regency. Media Indonesian journalists presents Jokowi's campaign activities in Goa Regency as a setting element. The second one is the syntactic structure. Syntactic structure consists into the three elements. They are such as form, cohesion, and the coherence. All of the results are shared on the slide that we can see together. The first element is the sentence form. In this edition, the sentences used by the media Indonesian journalists is declarative. At the beginning of the news, media Indonesian journalists points out the campaign activities carried out by Jokowi in Goa Regency. The form of the declarative sentence presented in the This Corruption News can be seen in the introduction or the beginning of the report. The second one is the cohesion. In this edition, this study sees personal pronouns used as the means of the cohesion. The personal pronoun is expressed in the word kita, in English we. The use of the personal pronoun is obtained from the statements or ideas directly conveyed by Jokowi in the campaign activities carried out in the Goa Regency. During the campaign, Jokowi shares two important doubts marked by the word kita or we as a means of cohesion. The result that we can see in the slide together. The third element is coherence. As we can see from the results on the slide, P1 is the opening idea in this corruption news. P2 becomes an idea that is categorized as an explanation of P1. The sentence marks the idea in English. On this occasion, Jokowi emphasized himself always support efforts to eradicate corruption. And then Peak 3 becomes an idea that is categorized as an explanation of P2. The sentence marks the idea in English, we don't play around with the misappropriation, which is called corruption. And the last one, P4, is also an idea that is categorized as an explanation. The sentence marks the idea. We have never been indiscriminate in eradicating corruption. We are firm and we continue to improve the corruption perception index. Next, we come to the stylistic structure. Stylistic structure refers to the lexicon. In this edition, the research says there is one word that is lexicon or word choice unit, namely the word in bahasa penyelewengan, or in English, misappropriation or defiance. The fact can be seen from the results that is shown on the slide. Kita tidak main-main terhadap perbuatan penyelewengan yang namanya korupsi, ujar Jokowi. Based on the code above, the word penyelewengan or misappropriation can mean defamation, betrayal, or abuse, according to KBBI 2016. When viewed from the conversion context, the term penyelewengan or misappropriation is a direct statement or idea conveyed by Jokowi in his campaign activities in Goa Regency. In this regard, Jokowi states he is not playing games with anyone who commits irregularities, betrayals, and abuses corruption. And the last structure is the rhetorical. Rhetorical structures consist into the two elements. The first one is the graphic, and the second one is the figurative expression. And now we come to the graphic element. The study sees that an image or photo that becomes a graphic element unit in this edition. The picture of the 6 people standing in front of the KPK building while covering their mouths with a poster. The picture can be seen from the slide. The pictures shows 6 people standing in front of the KPK building. They are holding a poster with a view of Novel Baswedan covering his mouth. Uniquely, the 6 people who demonstrate while is in the poster image. The signs also reads in bahasa, aksi diam 700 hari pasca penyerangan Novel Baswedan. They are standing right in front of the logo that reads KPK. In this case, the 6 people want to show a protest against Jokowi, who is silent and irresponsible in investigating the possibility of pouring water on the senior KPK investigator. Media Indonesian Corruption News on March 21, 2019 is a form of rebuttal to the accusations of those who do not like Jokowi. In his campaign activities in Goa Regency, Jokowi said in bahasa, kita tidak main-main terhadap perbuatan penyelewengan yang namanya korupsi. Kita tidak pernah pandang bulu dalam memberantas korupsi. Kita tegas dan kita perbaiki terus indeks persepsi korupsi. The ideas prove that Jokowi is never careless about eradicating corruption as long as he's still serving as president for 2014 until 2019. The last element is the figurative expression. The sentence kita ini tidak pernah pandang bulu, the phrases tidak pernah pandang bulu or indiscriminately has the meaning of not discriminating between people according KBBI 2016. Jokowi made a solid and bold statement during his campaign activities in Goa Regency. The phrases tidak pernah pandang bulu or indiscriminately becomes a metaphorical expression, meaning that Jokowi does not look at anyone and give strict sanctions to anyone who commits corruption, but the public and government officials. Now we come to the conclusion of the research. Based on the analysis that has been done, this study has the three conclusions. The first, Media Indonesia's corruption news on March 31, 2019 shows a favorable and pro attitude towards Jokowi. The corruption news seems to contain discourse strategies that intend to influence public opinion to re-elect Jokowi in 2019 presidential election. Second, the context of the 2019 presidential election shows a tremendous influence for Media Indonesia to produce corruption news associated with Jokowi, as well as his re-nomination as a presidential candidate in the 2019 presidential election. The third, this study success in applying a complete analysis of the stack structure. In the end, the novelty of the research, such as the completeness of the stack structures, including macro, super, and the microstructural analysis, especially in the thematic, schematic, semantic, syntactic, rhetorical, and stylistic structures, and the connection between the context of the 2019 presidential election and the actor Jokowi can fill and the complete research gap previously described. This is the references that the author used in doing the research. That's all from me. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.